everybody, and welcome back to Forever Motorsports for Free Practice 2. On this weekend, it is the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. We are back in Italy, and it is the famous Imola circuit that will have all the Formula 1 action this weekend, and a very, very interesting session to come after we saw Max Verstappen describe his car as a catastrophe in the opening session earlier today. Red Bull have brought in some new upgrades, and evidently didn't go as planned in the first session, and apparently they said no, they just need to do a few setup changes, and they'll have that car up and running and performing as expected. So we'll wait and find out in the next sort of hour if that will be the case. In the first session, though, we did see the Ferraris looking very quick. Mercedes also looked like a decent amount of pace. Not much from the McLarens, but a nice session for Yuki Tsunoda, who was actually the sixth fastest in that opening free practice. It is free practice 2 on a Friday evening. We are just we're just under 24 of qualifying, which will take place tomorrow at 4 o'clock standard time. And so very interested to see how qualifying goes tomorrow. And now we're going to have a chance to see if the upgrades are starting to sort of settle in. You know, some cars would have probably been very happy with what they saw in that first free practice. Other cars would have been drivers would have been very upset. The big thing is I want to see Alexander Albon out there after he had to withdraw from the practice about 20 minutes afterwards. He had mechanical failure and went off the track. So the first official lap time does come from George Russell, who had a very good second or first practice, and he'll be very chuffed with his efforts there. But so nice to get out nice and early, and Ocon out there getting some laps. The Williams was pretty slow in the first practice, but I mean, yeah, they've never had massive amounts of pace this season, so not massively surprising. But I think the main thing is they'll want to make sure they can get through the majority of this practice unscathed after Albon had to withdraw. So so the Alpine's out there. So Ocon's got a lap in. Gasly's out there as well. Sargent and Albon both are not out there. And now we'll start to see some more laps coming. Now, Zhao Guanyu was complaining about bouncing around like a kangaroo in his first session. So we're interested to see if the men at Kickstarter and women at Kickstarter have managed to sort that out. Because, yeah, he was not happy in that car. We haven't, there we go. The first lap time under 1:18 comes from Carlos Sainz, who's running a set of mediums. Bottas getting some nice times. But I'll tell you what, Yuki Tsunoda once again sitting at the top of that leaderboard. Now, there we go. Leclerc goes and almost breaks that 1:16 mark, almost in his first official hot lap. Very nice start this now for the Ferraris, and they'll be very chuffed with that. Now, Max Verstappen has a fastest first sector. He had that twice in the first session, but then actually spun out in the one, almost spun out in the one, and then went to the gravel in the second time. So, Lando Norris now coming in, his first one. But there we go. Max Verstappen does go. That's the fastest he's been all day. So already a much better start to proceedings for the reigning world champion, who, as I said, was describing his car as catastrophic, but maybe not as bad as initially feared, given the fact that he started off and gone quickest very early on in this practice. Hulkenberg's going into the pits already, saying something is not right, so you're going to have to try and fix that. And Kevin Magnussen, by the way, is back in his Haas. Oliver Behrman did take on the car for the first practice, but it is the usual K-Mag who is back in the cockpit for this practice. An interesting top four that would be a nice top. It would make for a good podium on Sunday if that were to be the case. With Verstappen first, Norris coming in second fastest so far. 2 cars underneath at 1:17. Majority of the quick times at the moment running those medium tires. We did see all the teams switch through a lot of the different compounds in that first session, really trying to see what is the call for this weekend. And once again, it looks like beautiful conditions. It's just good to see racing, to be honest. Well, not racing yet, but to see cars out on the track, because we didn't. I mean, this was the one that was cancelled last year. I mentioned that in the first one. So hopefully the weather does hold, and we get to see some really good racing, because we're seeing some nice times here. And Piastri now is on a hot lap. Interested to see how he does his teammate, second fastest at the moment. Coming up to the end of that first sector. He does look very good, very fast at the moment, as Piastri. 0.4 of a second off the pace at the moment. Everybody's locked at time so far, except for Hulkenberg, Piastri, Sargent, Albon. Piastri is on a hot lap, so we'll be able to clock that time very shortly. All right, let's see what he can do here. Oscar Piastri coming through that second sector now. Slightly behind, 0.7 of the second at the moment, so we're probably landing up around sort of that Alonso Tsunoda margin. I don't think he'll be faster than Sergio Perez. I imagine we'll be about 7th, 8th fastest, given where he is at the moment. And here he comes through for his first pass lap of the day and goes just under Hamilton. So a slow third sector as well. So not quite got the pace just yet as Oscar Piastri. I've got a poll running in the comments, by the way. And the question is, will Red Bull have the fastest car this session? 60% saying yes, 40% saying no. While they currently have the fast car. Now we're having on board here Pierre Gasly. I wonder if we're about to see the first... overshooting is... Oh, there he goes. Lost it completely. Spun out there onto the grass. Is back onto the track, though. And George Russell clocking another decent lap, putting himself further up that leaderboard. Oh, there we go. So confirmation, the Max Verstappen, it was asked how was the balance, and he said better already with this tire. So already enjoying his car a little bit more than he was in that first session. He is a great one for talking about how bad his car is before, just flying around and beating everyone. He's often will complain about things and still be the fastest by quite some time. He's a perfectionist at the end of the day. It's what makes him so good. He's become, Metronic really in the way that he's done it. He ticks over. He's calm. He doesn't make mistakes anymore. He's not the rash young driver. He's matured as a driver, and he's in a class of his own at the moment. But Yuki Tsunoda, by the way, who's been flying all day, has just set a fast second sector. Old man Roo in the comments saying Yuki is flying. Welcome, Lindiwe. And by the way, earlier on, I actually didn't see the end of it. I didn't see if Oliver Behrman actually ended up in pole. He was there, was staged. Daniel Ricciardo getting into the 10th place. And Yuki Tsunoda goes fastest with a 1:16.895. I tell you what, this Visa RB has looked pretty good in today. Actually, looked pretty. It's got the pace. Yuki Tsunoda has looked really, really good. So the Cash App Visa RB, well, maybe that could be a dark horses in tomorrow's qualifying. Right, so Williams still no cars up. I mean, that car's, there's no tires on it. It's up. There's no wear ring. The car is up. So it looks like we're not going to see anything anytime soon from Alex Albon, who didn't complete that first practice session. Cheap as me there, but the entire floor's not even on yet for the Williams. Yeah, no, I don't think we're going to see a Williams on the track today. I'd be very, very surprised if we do. The floor's not on. I mean, that car is basically like just sitting bare. Right, anyway, let's go back to what's happening here. So Max Verstappen, by the way, has gone faster than Yuki Tsunoda, so back to the fastest so far. We're busy checking out the what was happening in the Williams situation. I'll tell you what, these Red Bulls are looking pretty good at the moment. Right, Fernando Alonso's having a go, and he's looked across at Hamilton, saying Hamilton thinks he's alone on this track, and I think he's pulled up alongside Hamilton, had words with him. So Fernando Alonso not particularly happy. These two know each other very well. They've been racing each other for years and years. Hamilton currently sitting as 8th fast. Alonso just behind him. So Alonso looking a bit better. Didn't really manage to crack the top 10 in the first session. Now Leclerc's gone fastest, by the way, 116.677. So Ferrari's once again looking like they've got the pace. We haven't seen it from Carlos Sainz just yet. He sits about 7/10 of a second behind Leclerc. And Sainz, though, in the first sector, not far behind, though. So interesting to see how he goes. He might yet go faster than Verstappen or Tsunoda, for example. Let's see how he comes through in the second sector. Oh, a little bit wide there. Yeah, so he's just, this is a quick lap here from Sainz. He's just under 0.2 of a second behind the time from Leclerc, but he can make that up in this final sector. So I think he'll put himself in, be a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons here. Bit of sparks flying out the back here, but he is looking good, Carlos Sainz. There he goes, Leclerc going into the pit, and Sainz will come through as second fastest. As I said, he looked like he was at some pace. So it'll be a very, very happy team principal in the pits. And I'll tell you what, Frederic Vassier's had a solid season so far, but he's making big moves, isn't he? You look at bringing in Adrian Newey, he's a massive call. Bringing in the right, looks to be building a team to potentially compete. Right, Daniel Rick now on the board over here. Almost a second behind there, but a bit better second sector that. Interesting that, so Yuki Tsunoda has very much had the pace here. He's up there with the best of them. Daniel Ricciardo hasn't quite managed to match his pace yet, but let's see if he can start to put the pedal to the metal here. 50 minutes into this practice session. Yeah, doesn't manage to really move up here. He's still reasonably far back, sitting in 117.7. But he remains in 10th. Still no movement from the Williams at the moment. Both those cars in the garage. Right, Leclerc here. He's got a team radio here. Saying, can you check the power steering? So obviously struggling a little bit there. Having issues apparently into turn 11, so I was asked the team to check. Still currently sits with the fastest lap of the session. Yeah, right. So we've had our first 15 minutes. All the cars have gotten a few laps in. So most of them now headed back into the pits. Right, and while we're in the pits, I'm going to show you guys the upgrades that we have got this weekend. I'll show you that in just a bit. A lot of upgrades across the various different cars, stuff like that. So whilst all the teams are in the pits, and yeah, it's an exciting weekend, especially, for example, if you're a Ferrari fan. Things have looked pretty good so far. And interesting to see how some of the teams respond to those sort of upgrades, stuff like that. But let's have a look at the upgrades. Just give me 2 seconds, about to load it. Right, so no cars left on the track at the moment. So let's have a look at some of the upgrades, shall we? And this is what some of the various teams have done to try and give themselves a bit of an edge.
Let's get into it. Red Bull has made rear wing and beam wing assemblies designed to increase downforce and overall efficiency for low isochronal circuits. Aston Martin has made changes to the front wing, nose, floor body,
Right, we've got some cars back on the track. So those are the upgrades that we just showed you earlier, and now we can see what those upgrades are doing to the various cars. Yeah, big moment now ahead. This weekend to see which of these cars have improved and which of these cars haven't managed to improve things. So it's gonna be interesting to see which teams are getting things right, which teams are getting things wrong, and which teams might yet be competitive, and which teams just unfortunately won't be. And it's a long season. So apologies for that. This isn't the be all and end all of the season, so still plenty of time for teams to catch up and stuff. But this is a time where you can take advantage because some teams will get these right first time and some teams won't. So those that get it first time, they can get themselves one ahead really of their competition. So it's a big opportunity for some of these teams to catch up a little bit. If for example a Red Bull get the upgrades wrong, which is unlikely, but that's almost seemed to be the case earlier on, then a Ferrari, a McLaren, for example, can really try and capitalize on that. So at the moment, the two Ferraris still remain the fastest. They are both on outlaps at the moment. Most of the cars back out. We have still got just over half an hour to go in this second practice session, rather. So plenty of time for people to start notching up laps. I'd like to see how fast Lando Norris can go. Yuki Tsunoda continued to impress me. He's currently sitting in the 5th fastest and up there with the likes of Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, and the McLarens. Lando Norris, however, has just hit a fastest first sector. So that's a nice start for him on a pair of softs at the moment. And very, very exciting news if you're a Williams fan is Alex Albon is on the track. After his car had mechanical issues and he was forced to basically park it in the first practice session, he is back out there and looking to try and notch up a few laps and get himself some practice around Imola. It's fast second sector as well, you have Norris, and he is absolutely flying here. This could be a proper lap. Yeah, from Lando Norris. We're about to see it in about 15 seconds or so, but he's just gone the fastest through both those sets. I think he's about 5/10 of a second faster as well. This could be a serious lap. Let's see if he can hold on to it. A little bit wide there. And he's gone to the pits, actually, so we will not get to find out what happened there. Yeah, I think just struggling a little bit in that third sector, but the first two sectors were very quick, and that'll be a nice indication that they very much got the pace. Now, Pierre Gasly gets himself into that top 10. Don't think they'll do too much to McLaren, but they'll try and get him out reasonably quickly, and he'll start putting the pedal to the metal. Hamilton goes third fastest in the session so far. Oh, there we go. So even faster than that there from Leclerc. He's the first driver to go under that 116 mark. So the Ferraris are absolutely flying. So third sector there, which really carried him to that fastest time. And Yuki Tsunoda goes even faster as well. So the time's really starting to tumble down. We're probably seeing a little bit something a little bit close to what we're going to see in qualifying tomorrow. And it also looks like Logan Sargent is onto the track. So it looks like all 20 cars will get out. As at one stage, looked at the Williams might remain in the garage for the entire session. Right, Lando Norris is back in the pits there. As I said, is if you look at his the lap before he did pit, fastest first two sectors. So it was looking very fast before then cutting into the pit. Right, and there we go. We've got a lap time from Logan Sargent. So we've got lap time from all 20 cars. Max Verstappen goes fastest in the first sector there, even faster than Lando Norris was going. So it could be on track for a fastest lap here. Coming up to the second sector, a yellow second sector, so not quite with the pace through that second sector. He's gone fastest in that first sector a few times, but he has struggled in the second sector as Verstappen. There is a bit of traffic there, I think, which probably interfered with him more than the actual track and sort of having to hold on there. So I don't think we're going to see Max Verstappen with anything close to a fastest lap here. Yeah, he does go faster, but not fastest. So he jumps at Tsunoda and Hamilton. And Sergio Perez is quite far down there in ninth. Same as Piastri. He's also quite a lot further away from his teammate. Be interested to see what Lando Norris looks like when he comes back out. And having said that, as I said that, Oscar Piastri goes second fastest, and he's literally less than a tenth of a second from breaking that 116 barrier. So that's a nice lap from Piastri. So the McLarens definitely do seem to have some pace here this weekend. And they've got to kick on, don't they? You know, you go and win in Miami. You show everybody that you're here to more than just to compete. But now progress, take a step, keep moving, you know. And that's why it's so important for them that they do. You've got to find trying to find a way to be more than just a team at some podiums. Alonso on a hot lap here, but reasonably far back here. So Charles Leclerc very much setting the early pace. What I'll do to see a Charles Leclerc pole tomorrow. That'll be just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Hulkenberg, that's a nice lap from him. He jumps to the top 8 there. So I asked earlier, will Red Bull have the fast car in the session? So far, 66 votes. If you're watching, please make sure you go and vote on that and let me know if you think the Red Bull is going to be fastest come the end. So far, the 5th fastest at the moment, which is what they were in the first session. Now Sergio Perez gets close to his teammate. But at the moment, Leclerc still well ahead at the moment, at the top of that leaderboard there. Yuki Tsunoda has dropped down, but still has had a decent session. And Lando Norris is out. Very keen to see how he goes there. He was looking very good. No, in fact, he's not out. I lie. I thought he would have gone out there, but he actually is still in the pit. He's the only one in the pits at the moment. On board share with Max Verstappen. Yep, almost lost it there. You see, he has not doesn't seem to have the control he usually has. We're going a little bit wide there and almost into the gravel. Zhou Guanyu complaining about one of the Mercedes. Sergio Perez struggling to hold on there. It's not but smooth sailing. That's the one thing I can tell you throughout this first day of practice. It's not been smooth sailing for the teams. Carlos Sainz not used to actually pick it up a little bit. He found himself as fifth fastest. Just ahead of the two Red Bulls. Danny Rick also not managing to get as close to his teammate as he would like. Lance Stroll very far down compared to Alonso. Magnussen not really having the pace that Hulkenberg seems to have. Norris still in the pits there. I mean, the commentators saying they reckon we might not see a representative lap here from Lando Norris in this session. Yep, and there goes Carlos Sainz over the grass, as we've seen often. I'm trying to sort out a map here. Oop, I'm not sure what's happened there. There we go. That's better. So it's that turn 15, which everybody seems to basically be flying straight through. A lot of drivers have struggled with that and have gone over on the grass. Be very interested to see how that affects everybody on the race day, because and all of a sudden, by the way, Yuki Tsunoda back in that top 3, 116.286. He's flying in that Cash App the Visa Cash App RB. Nice catchy name. But he's looking really, really strong at the moment, as Yuki. Proving his point, chat. I think a lot of people are talking about this is a very big season for him. You know that he's high maintenance, if we're going to be brutally honest. Has shown talent, but maybe not getting the returns that his talent would, in theory, warrant. So I think under a little bit of pressure to start producing the goods. So a session like today will do that. But the question is, can he do this in qualifying? Can he get into that Q3 tomorrow? And try and score some points this weekend. A lot of traffic there. Mercedes, just bizarre. Almost looks like the three cars are racing, actually. Eventually now they'll just let each other go and try and get a bit of a gap there. It's a Mercedes and McLaren. I think there was an Alpine involved there. Right, so as we enter the final 25 minutes, I think we'll see some of the cars go. Yeah, about to Leclerc, Piastri, Tsunoda, all in the pits there. So probably see the cars make another pit very soon, and then they'll come out for that sort of last 10 minutes. In terms, again, of the weekend ahead, we will have Mark, I think it's actually Reese on duty tomorrow, who'll be taking you through third practice, as well as qualifying, and then Mark will be with you for the race on Sunday. So Reese tomorrow, Mark on Sunday. So different phase every single day. Right, Verstappen saying, my God, I don't know, man. It's so difficult. Everything, man. This time, suddenly the front grip's up a lot. I almost spin. Still not happy in the car. 7th fastest, so not like he's without cause, to be fair. We have seen him complain previously when he has been the fastest by a country mile. Not quite the case at the moment. He is struggling with a bit of pace, is struggling with a lot of grip, and he's struggling with this car a lot. You can see... Oh, he has a lot to say at somebody. A lot of hand gesturing there here from Verstappen, trying to see who it is. I think it's Hamilton. It is Hamilton indeed. Hamilton put his hands up to apologize, actually, interestingly enough. So the two big rivals almost clashing there on the track. Verstappen having a lot to say. Hamilton putting his hand up in apology. And now we're going to actually be able to get to hear exactly what happened between the two. This is the audio radio we've already heard. I was hoping to try and hear the radio from the incident from Hamilton. But it doesn't sound like we're going to be able to get that, unfortunately. But he is still struggling at the moment as all the cars head into the pit. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, really be nice to have that team radio. It's very cool to get the team radio from that incident. As I said, Max Verstappen losing his temper at Lewis Hamilton. He put his hand up an apology, but we don't quite know what they were saying. It would be very nice if we could. It'd be nice to have those team radios. But this is not a happy Max Verstappen. His car's not cooperating. He's almost crashing into Lewis Hamilton. As far as Max Verstappen mood is gone, it's not been his best day at the office. He hasn't had too many bad days at the office, but this does seem to be one of the worst ones. The good news for him, I suppose, it can only get better unless his door just falls apart tomorrow in qualifying. But yeah, the Haas Hulkenberg much better than the first session. Having on board, yeah, looking at Hamilton, he goes wide there, almost to the gravel. I think this is Norris on a set of mediums. The only one currently on a set of mediums at the moment. Again, we're not going to see the fast lap from him. I don't think we're not going to see a hot lap from him on a pair of softs. So while you won't see exactly how much pace he had, he threatened to have some good pace. He had two faster sectors when he was on a hot lap and then pulled out of it and went into the pits. So there's definitely pace in that McLaren. How much pace? We'll probably find out tomorrow. So it's been an interesting weekend, I think. It's the question. The big questions, I suppose, are McLaren genuinely in this? Are they competitive? Have the Ferrari upgrades put them into contention? Is this Yuki Tsunoda performance in the first two practices? Is this going to continue? Are we going to see Yuki contending for a decent amount of points come Sunday? The Mercedes are there and thereabouts. We'll have to wait and see exactly what that is. The Aston Martins, they're not like they have a lot at the moment. Alpines and Kickstarters, Haas and the Williams, they're all pretty back there. As I say that, Lance Stroll moves a little bit further up, but still relatively far back. He's about, I suppose they're doing about 1/10 of a second behind Alonso. Nico Hulkenberg will be racing his first ever Grand Prix weekend in Imola this weekend. So an exciting opportunity for him. Most of the cars back in the pits here, by the way. It is just the likes of Piastri, Norris, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, and Stroll who remain out on track. And we have got just under 20 minutes left in the session. And once again, if you guys missed it earlier, we're going to go through the upgrades that the teams have brought. So yeah, if you did miss it earlier, then this is what you can look forward to this weekend with regards to some of the teams bringing those upgrades in and the kind of impact that it might have.
Welcome to our overview of the latest Formula One rear wing and beam wing assemblies designed to increase downforce and overall efficiency for low isochronal circuits. Aston Martin has made changes to the front wing, nose, floor speeds. Williams has focused on reducing the mass of their floor body through laminate changes without compromising aerodynamic performance. Sauber has extended their floor fences and made changes to the forward floor volume to increase downforce and improve aerodynamic efficiency. Haas has reshaped their front wing end plate, top wishbone fairings, and rear corner to improve flow conditioning and local load. In summary, each team has made significant updates to their cars for the Imola Grand Prix, focusing on performance enhancements, aerodynamic efficiency, and cooling improvements. Be sure to follow the race to see how these changes play out on the track. Welcome to our overview of the latest Formula
So there we go. So that is the upgrades that have been put in place by the various different teams. And yes, said this weekend we'll be able to see just how well those upgrades work for the various different cars. The cars all are back out there, by the way, for the final poly run. We're just under 15 minutes. Oh dear, Yuki Tsunoda. Well, that's not good. And we've actually got a team radio here. Yuki Tsunoda is stopped on the track. Not entirely sure what's happened. It says incidents involving car 22 Tsunoda will be investigated after the session. Failing to follow race directives, practice start infringement. Okay, that's the issue there. For Yuki Tsunoda, who was stopped at a point. I don't know if he's still stopped. I think he's back and going. So I don't think anything too serious. He's had a great few sessions though, Yuki Tsunoda. All of a sudden has put himself in the mix. Whether he'll be able to continue that pace to be able to be competitive come Sunday, only time will tell. But so far, really, really good early signs for that Vita Cash App RB. Now, signs there through turn 16. So we've probably seen the fastest times, yeah. A lot of the cars out there on hards, mediums. Hamilton on a pair of softs, the two Red Bulls and softs. So maybe we might see some decent laps from them, but they're currently in the pits. So I think they might come out obviously in a different compound as we sort of move towards the last 10 minutes of the session. So earlier I put in a poll asking, will Red Bull have the fast car in the session? And 100 votes, I'm going to end that poll. And it's a bit of a split, isn't it? 51% and 9%. The weird thing about YouTube polls, whenever I edit, it never actually adds up to 100. I'm going to put another poll out saying who will be on poll tomorrow. And I'm going to throw in Leclerc. I'm going to throw in Sainz. We'll throw in Verstappen because you kind of have to. But maybe we have to throw in Piastri because I'm going to put in Norris actually because we haven't really seen what Norris can do. Ferraris have seemed to have the pace. So there we go. There's the question. Who will be on pole tomorrow? What do you think? I've given you Leclerc, Sainz, Verstappen, and Norris. I do get the feeling it will come out of those four. Outside shot, maybe a Hamilton or Perez, but I think those four are probably the ones that I'd back the most. I think that this McLaren has pace. We'll have to wait and see exactly how much pace. The fact is that if Oscar Piastri is sitting there 0.2 of a second behind Leclerc, he's the fastest by far. I think that Lando Norris can actually better him. And I think the two Ferraris have looked the most consistent so far across both practice sessions. And well, Max Verstappen, they'll have a night to fix the issues that he is having. And given the fact that he's still pretty quick with the current issues, means that I'm sure he'll be very quick come tomorrow. Right, and Sergio Perez is back out on the track. But no Verstappen, he's the only one still currently sitting in the pits. And a lot of the teams back on that soft tyre, according to the TV screen though. So getting a bit of mixed information about what the various tyres are. And Verstappen, by the way, also back out on track. Right, clocking down, 10 minutes to go. That's it. Go and vote. I want to see, at the moment, it seems to be a bit of a split between Verstappen, Leclerc, and Sainz with a few votes. Nobody really backing Norris at the moment to be on pole tomorrow. I think it would be a pretty bold shot if you were to go for Lando Norris. But hey, you never know. You never know. Stranger things have happened in Formula 1. He is coming off a win in Miami. Will Yuki Tsunoda be in and around there? I think he makes Q3 with if he continues this sort of pace. So and that would be that would be a good result in itself. Starting in that top 10, getting into those top 5 good position, good rows. Right, so we're into the final 10 minutes. And the teams, and I mean, the usual Williams, Kickstarter was just kind of nowhere at the moment. Similar with Alpine and the Haas, although Hulkenberg's had a much better session. So I suppose it's kind of business as usual with regards to the teams that are currently sort of sitting at the top and around there. Ricciardo and Lando Norris, maybe the anomalies, but Ricciardo maybe not so much. More that Tsunoda actually, more the anomaly being so high. Lando would have been higher had he completed that lap, so this is probably a little bit inaccurate with regards to a real representation of how close the various teams are. But there's definitely I think there'll definitely be a bit of a worry. An issue there with Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc. Almost touched. The team is saying let him do his thing, we'll do our thing. So telling him not to worry about the Ferrari at the moment. But they definitely don't seem to have the pace they'd like to, the two Red Bulls. Max Verstappen's been complaining a lot about not being able to control his car, having various different issues. So it's quite clear that whilst I think there is pace in that Red Bull, I don't think they've got the control at the moment of it. And whether they can sort that out overnight and for tomorrow, time will tell. But certainly not 100% happy. Well, it's interesting. So Sergio Perez was having a go at Charles Leclerc, and Charles Leclerc is now having a go at Sergio Perez. And he passed him on the inside because he wanted to have some words with him, from the looks of it. Yeah, not happy those two having a bit of a go at each other. There we go. Incident involving cars 11 and 16, Perez and Leclerc noted for impeding. So we'll have to wait and find out what happened there. That'll be investigated by the stewards. They were almost a bit of a touch, and I mean, jeepers me, imagine a crash in free practice 2. Bit of drama in Italy. Right, so if you're watching the TV, it's got them all on SARS, but that is inaccurate because you've been looking at the tires. So what's on the screen at the moment, what you're seeing, is the correct tires. Every single car currently on track, by the way. The Williams, after that very slow start, where they were still putting the car together as the other cars went by, have managed to put everything together and get some time out there, which is good to see. So I think the team that'll be the happiest today will be a mixture of probably McLaren, Ferrari, maybe Cash App, or RB. I think they'll be very happy with Tsunoda's performance, but the Ferrari team will be cautiously optimistic, I think, going into tomorrow's, well, there's still one more practice session and then qualifying, but they have looked, science maybe not as much as Leclerc today, but they've looked very quick. Both of them look quick. So having said that, there goes one of the Red Bulls once again to the gravel. Thought it was actually still on the Ferrari. So that's Max Verstappen who's gone wide. So he's still struggling. He is still struggling. And unless they can get the car locked down, might get struggle tomorrow in the qualifying. As I said, don't miss tomorrow's qualifying, because I think we could be in for a very, very interesting grid. Verstappen's starting to control that car. Sergio Perez hasn't really had the pace. So on big upgrades weekend, some teams seem to be on the rise. Some teams seem to be struggling. Just how much of a struggle is, we'll find out tomorrow. And then obviously on the race on Sunday, I still very much expect Max Verstappen to be in the running, and probably still the favourite to win despite these early issues. Unless he does also have mechanical issues on the day. Right, 5 minutes to go. So time for another 4 or 5 laps before we then close it up for today. We'll be live once again tomorrow. I think the session starts about 11 o'clock. Let me not lie to you. It starts officially at 12:30. 12:30 will be the third practice session. Qualifying starting tomorrow at 4 o'clock, by the way. Don't think it's 5 o'clock like the session was. It is 4 o'clock tomorrow. So make sure you get that right. Old Man Lewis saying Hamilton ahead of Russell. Unusual. Love to see the old Lewis back. Yeah, it would be nice to see Lewis. At his best, especially going to Ferrari next year, and he believes he's going to be going into a car which will be competitive, so interesting to see how much he still has. But Verstappen there on the gravel, very interesting to see what his team radio is there. But you can just see, he just can't control that car at the moment. And there's a Ferrari going wide as well, so I wouldn't say he's been unique in his struggles with Max Verstappen. A lot of the cars have gone wide, a lot of cars have cut corners short. There have been a lot of struggles throughout the field. But in this particular session, Charles Leclerc has looked a bit of a class of his own. Whether he can deliver that tomorrow, that's the big question, isn't it? All the talent in the world, Charles Leclerc. And unfortunately, I think the season where he had a car that was competitive enough to make him to win some more races, he made some really silly errors. Just wasn't really good enough. And then last season, there was just no competition with that at Red Bull. But the season before, 2022, you felt that Ferrari had pace and could have competed. Maybe not throughout the season, but at least early on in that season. But some really silly, I think it was Miami when he went into the wall. He just made so many silly mistakes that just didn't give him a chance. But he's got the talent, Charles Leclerc. So the question is now, can he just implement it? Right, so Lando back in the pits. The rest of the cars all still out there. And here comes Lando Norris. He's going to try and get himself at least probably one hot lap before the timer ticks down. We are just 20 seconds away before it does start to turn red. And we enter the final 2 minutes. So another interesting practice session. For me, the big news continues to be the Red Bull struggles. They're not looking comfortable. They don't seem to have a lot of the pace. They're struggling with the corners. So the fact that Red Bull is struggling could be a bit of a sign for a very interesting race weekend. It could also be smoke and mirrors, and tomorrow they come out and get a 1-2 qualifying, and we, normality is restored. But hopefully, I say that in terms of a competitive point of view, maybe there is a bit of struggle. Maybe there is a bit of catch up from the other teams to them. Piastri and I having a go. I think it's that Pierre Gasly, one of the Alpines. Right, the clock has turned red. We've got just over 90 seconds, just under 90 seconds left. Right, so in the comments there, Andrew Tynan saying, remember, we don't know what fuel loads the drivers are running. Opponents say, I'm just glad that Max is not in the top of the grid again. And yes, Lewis is old now, not Alonso old, but old. Yeah, well, he is old. Yeah, I don't think the Red Bulls are a fuel issue, though. They can just see they're genuinely struggling. A lot of the times they had fast sectors and then would spin out, for example, wouldn't be able to, just hold on and stuff like that. So there's definitely more than just, being heavy on fuel, for example, in other cars. They are genuinely struggling. So we have got confirmation from the FIS jurors that the incident involving Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez will be investigated after the session. Those two almost actually touched and bumped earlier on in what was not a good look. So that will be investigated after the session. As we enter the final 25 seconds of the second practice. On board now with Lando Norris, our most recent winner of the Grand Prix after that win in Miami. He had looked good earlier on. If you just missed it, he was on a decent hot lap, first 2 seconds to the fastest. And then he hasn't been able to. He pulled out of the lap and he hasn't set one since then. Another random human saying, genuinely impressed with Yuki and the Visa car Red Bull today. Yeah, I think that's a very. Yeah, I think genuinely. I think you have to be. Tsunoda to be faster than the Mercedes, faster than Sainz, faster than both the Red Bulls, faster than Alonso is a really, really top effort there. There goes the checkered flag. That will bring the end to pre-practice. Yuki Tsunoda, maybe the story along with the Red Bulls. Interesting how the secondary team have been faster than their parent side. So that Visa Cash App RB in the hands of Yuki Tsunoda has gone really, really well. The Red Bull itself, well, they've been struggling. And this is where things will end. Just Charles Leclerc will finish with the fastest lap of the day, not just the session. And both the Ferraris looking very strong. We will see you guys tomorrow for the third practice session tomorrow at 12:30 before qualifying at 4 o'clock. I cannot emphasize that enough. It is at 4 o'clock tomorrow local time. Today, this session started at 5, so an hour before when the session started. Tomorrow, and then the race on Saturday, 3 o'clock, back to that sort of standard 3 o'clock European time. So you plan your Sunday around that. People, thank you very much. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe.